Okay, we've got a vectors question here. So we've got a triangle, and the triangle is called PQR, and you're told that E is the point on PR, there's E, so that PR is 3PE. So the distance from there to there is 3 times the distance from there to there. Now sometimes I find it helpful to sort of draw that outside. So the distance from there to there, well, if we call it B from P to E, if that's B, then the distance from there to there, okay, from all the way from P to R, is going to be 3B. I like to put these on the diagram before I even read the question. So that little bit from there to there is B, which means that this little bit from here to here must be 2B. Okay. They also tell us that here is the vector A, and they tell us that F is the point on QR. So there's F, and here's QR, and QR, so the distance from Q to R, is 3 times the distance from Q to F. So in other words, the distance all the way from there to there is 3 times the distance from there to there. So if you like, the ratio of this little bit to this little bit is actually 1 to 2. Be careful here. It's 1 from there to there, 3 from there to there. Okay? So first thing we need to do is find the vector PR, and I realise I've already done that. P to R, so the vector PR, I like to actually write here what it is that I've found. PR is actually just the vector 3B. Okay? Right, remember we write these in bold, but when we write them ourselves with a pen, we tend to use a wiggly line underneath. Okay, let's have a look at QR then. Now, what we have to realise is to get from Q to R, we don't know what the vector is that takes us from there to there, but we can go the long way round. In other words, I'm going to go from Q to P, and then I'm going to go from P to R. And remember, when we add vectors, when we write QP plus PR, what we actually mean there is the vector QP followed by the vector PR. Now, the vector QP, to go from Q to P, well, I can see that to go from P to Q is the vector A, so QP is the opposite direction, so it must be minus A. Now I'm going to add PR. Well, we've already established that PR is actually 3B, so the vector QR then, and I'm going to write this the other way around because it's just a bit tidier, QR is going to be 3B minus A. Okay, right, let's see what they want us to find next. Next thing we want to find is PF. Now, to go from P to F, I think I'm going to go from P to Q, and then I'm going to go from Q to F. So PF, I'm going to go from P to Q first of all, and then I'm going to go from Q to F. Okay, so PQ followed by QF. Now, I can see that PQ is just the vector A. I can also see that QF is actually just 1/3 of the vector QR. Okay, so QF is 1/3 of QR, and it just so happens that I've just found the vector QR. So I'm going to write here QR. Okay, so PF is the same as PQ plus QF. PQ is just the same as A, and QF is 1/3 of QR. And I can now see, using previous part, that actually QR is just the same as 3B minus A. Okay, and if we now remove the brackets, I've got A plus, now 1/3 of 3B is actually just B, and now I'm going to do 1/3 times minus A, which is just minus 1/3 A. If I now put the A's together, A take away 1/3 A, well that's actually 2/3 A, so it's 2/3 A plus B, and remember that is the vector PF. Okay, right, last part. We've now got to show that EF is KPQ. Okay, so we already know PQ. PQ is just the vector A. So it's fairly obvious that what I need to do now is find the vector EF. So let's have a look at how I could find EF, bearing in mind that I've got PF already. So let's have a look. If I can do EF, okay, well EF, I could go sorry, I'm going to do, what is it I'm trying to find? EF. Well, EF, if I do EP and then PF, so EP plus PF, just because I've already found PF, okay, then I can use something that I've just found before. Okay, so I'm going to write EF as EP plus PF. So EF is the same as EP plus PF. Okay, so let's see what that comes out as. Now the vector EP, okay, well that's just minus B. Okay, so if I just write that in, okay, and I've just established in part 3 here that PF is actually this lot. So it's plus 2/3 A plus B. And what I realise now is that my minus B plus B cancel each other out, and I'm left with 2/3 A. So EF is 2/3 A. And if I go back to my original diagram, the vector A is actually PQ. Okay, so instead of the vector A, I can write PQ. So in fact, EF is 2/3 of PQ. And what I've managed to do now is write EF as some number times PQ. This was actually a misprint. That is untrue because actually K is 2/3 and 2/3 isn't an integer. This is the only IGCSE paper I have ever seen where there was a mistake. Most people didn't even notice that bit. Okay, I've succeeded in writing EF as some number times PQ, so I've finished.